John Green, Nerdfighteria, and Don't Forget to Be Awesome. Final project for EDUC588, spring of 2014, by David Baroody. John Green is an author of young adult fiction, including the New York Times best-selling novel The Fault in Our Stars, a video blogger known for his Vlog Brothers collaboration with brother Hank Green, and the creator and host of the educational YouTube channel Crash Course. The concept of community building is one that runs deep in Green's works. Green has used his online persona to organize others of his ilk, rebranding himself a nerd fighter, battling on the behalf of other nerds. The online and in-person communities that have grown up around Green, collectively referred to as nerdfighteria, aren't just havens for the geeky and the cerebral. Nerdfighters create and gather in loosely organized chat rooms, on Tumblr, and collect via the comment streams on YouTube. They trade art and fan fiction, memes and blog posts, rants and raves. They organize charitable movements, including the yearly Project for Awesome that raises and gives away hundreds of thousands of dollars to deserving charities. And, more frequently, they gather face-to-face in growing events throughout the world. The quote to the left, attributed to John Green, summarizes 3 key principles that help define Nerdfighteria and its position as a unique 21st century community. Although there's no official handshake, member dues, or community-wide expectations, nerdfighters unify around common passions, exhibit and trade in distinct community signals, and play with the representations of themselves. For this study, I've focused upon the essential questions: what behaviors and actions make someone a nerdfighter? How do members of the nerdfighter community use digital media to communicate and collaborate? And how do nerdfighters signal their participation within a group with no formal community organization? I have formatted this research in terms of a narrative analysis, focusing on the Nerdfighteria community in general by acting as observer of the various ways in which members interact and add to the work of the whole. Specifically, I have chosen 2 students to provide case studies of average nerdfighters. The first, a 13-year-old female named Margot, defines herself as a bookish individual, though not an overwhelmingly gifted academic student. Margot is somewhat socially awkward, though this description is somewhat misleading given that she is a 7th grader. Says Margot, quote, "It's hard because 7th grade is less about who you are and more about where you fit in with your peers," end quote. In interviews, she often highlighted the changing social structure around her and how she struggled to maintain relationships because of the changeability of middle schoolers. Margot is bright despite some academic struggle, and so she finds solace in the literate community of other nerdfighters. She observes that, quote, "Nerdfighteria allows me a group of like-minded individuals who don't care who you are, who your parents are. Instead, they care about what you make and the insights you give, how you take someone else's work and build upon it. That's what's important to nerdfighters, that you constantly create new things," end quote. The second individual, 14-year-old Jillian, is a self-identified alpha girl with a variety of followers, a strong and important social life, success at sports including lacrosse and soccer, and an artistic and literary streak that, quote, "doesn't fit in with the rest of me," end quote. She is personally comfortable with this other aspect of herself, but chooses to share it quietly with an online community that does not intrude upon her primary persona. She posts often to Tumblr, where she enjoys, quote, "not worrying about who is following me or what they will say about my work," end quote, because of that platform's unique lack of commenting threads. Most of her posts involve original art of one type or another. She does not like to remix the work of others, but takes her ideas from, quote, "cool color schemes," end quote, and the ways in which others, quote, "combine pictures to take the place of words," end quote. When I asked why she doesn't post to Instagram, she claimed, quote, "that Instagram gives more of an insight into my everyday life and complements who I am 90% of the time. Tumblr is the other 10%, end quote. A variety of individual theorists provided me with background to analyze the nerdfighter community, and to use my case studies to identify the ideas playing out online. Brian Street advanced the idea of sociocultural literacy, focusing upon the importance of community in building literate knowledge. Siegel added to this the generative power of transmediation for learning, whereby members of a literate community embed knowledge and create new understanding by switching between sign systems. The New London Group theorized on the importance of multimodality, multiliteracies, and non-alphabetic texts, giving credence to other symbology than just traditional text. The field of New Literacy Studies took Street's previous ideas of sociocultural literacy and applied it to burgeoning digital composition. Alverman theorized further and brought into question the sociocultural role and significance of adolescents' online literacies. Recently, Troy Hicks has championed the vastly changing field of digital composing, positing that digital composition should at least be taught alongside traditional textual composition, if not supplanting it altogether, but that in order to do so, teachers must think about the different visual, sociocultural, and specifically digital literacies that play out in this new genre. And finally, Jenkins and Kelly hypothesize how the sociocultural, digital, and textual visual methodologies playing out in today's participatory culture of the Web 3.0 and beyond world can look in a modern 21st century classroom. Aspects of each of these academics' ideas are fully at play within the Nerdfighter community online. So then, what exactly is nerdfighteria? And where does it play out online and in the real world, and why should individuals join? The first resource which provided a window into this world was nerdfighteria.org. This website acts as a sort of clearinghouse for all things Nerdfighter, and is the entrance gate into the increasingly smaller and more refined spaces cropping out throughout the internet. Nerdfighteria.org is a username and password encrypted community, though much of its resources are available to even casual users. As defined by James Gee, nerdfighteria.org is an affinity space, where admission and participation within the creative realm is by choice. Most users can refine their role in the community, and indeed most seem to use it as such, to make connections and give direction to their search for other groups of like-minded people. Nerdfighteria.org really gives a sense of the breadth of the online community for which John Green has provided the impetus. Here you will find Trekkies, Whovians, artists, punks, goths, adolescents, adults, literature geeks, band geeks, programming geeks, AVI geeks, musicians, poets, fangirls, and fanboys, Brits, Czechs, Chinese, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, each with their own thread and the possibility for more connections beyond the site. The social network platform Tumblr is a wealth of extant information on nerdfighters, and indeed, it felt most like falling down the rabbit hole. Because of the limitations, if you can call them that, of the platform, Tumblr focuses its community to create and communicate with an emphasis upon multimodality and short snippets of information. Here, GIFs, memes, and photos with brief captions are the reified media, and users must switch back and forth seamlessly between text, still, and moving images in order to make meaning. The theories of Street, Alverman, and Hicks are all on display. The amount of information about nerdfighters is overwhelming, given the breadth and depth of posts on Tumblr. A strong understanding of the disparate backgrounds, literary, artistic, and metacognitive of nerdfighters in general helps to make sense of the sheer amount of sociological and anthropological data here. So then, how is it that nerdfighters identify? First, given the impetus set out by John Green, nerdfighters are unapologetic nerds. They are passionate about their subjects of interest and creative in sharing their loves of books, television, internetalia, pop culture, etc. Second, the community is one comprised of makers, of art, of internet media such as GIFs and memes, of physical representations of their interests. I was especially interested in the number of needlepoint depictions of Vlogbrother jokes that appear in Tumblr. Third, because of the breadth of interests that radiate out from the central point of nerdfighteria, nerdfighters tend to project an egalitarian image of openness. This openness spans the uses of digital media, social and political viewpoints. For instance, there is a very open and accepting homosexual population that is well positioned in nerdfighteria. It doesn't just operate at the fringes. And, as well, more progressive economic ideas. Again, nerdfighters collect annually to raise and then give away close to $1 million in the Project for Awesome each spring. The money is raised online over the course of 5 days, and polling takes place regarding which nonprofit organization should receive the money at the end of the time period. Finally, and this is really most crucial, a defining aspect of nerdfighters is their unwillingness to be easily pigeonholed. Because of their inclusive manner, nerdfighters must identify themselves as nerdfighters, and as such, they seek out different spaces to meet their changing and individual needs. Although I struggled with the idea when first presented with it, and despite not agreeing wholly with the definition, I believe that Guy was right in positing the definition of an affinity space, given my experience with nerdfighters online and in person. Nerdfighteria is a place where participation, above all other qualities, is valued. Additionally, it is a space where membership is open and inclusive based solely on participation, and not as a matter of the amount of tweets, followers, friends, and shares individuals amass over time. Finally, as a result of that inclusiveness, nerdfighteria has boundaries that are fluid and ever-changing to reflect the interests of its population. Despite my position in this study as a lurker, sitting on the outside without necessarily contributing new information to the stream, I myself am a nerdfighter because of my experience with the group and the new knowledge gleaned from observation, in on the jokes, recognizing previous references, and generally enjoying the camaraderie of the space.